Christmas means visitors popping in, staying a while, and you on food duty, having trouble coping with the pressure? Food Journey to the rescue! Hello everyone and welcome back to the Food Journey Christmas Kitchen. It is our second to last episode of the year, and because of that I know a lot of you are hosting family and friends, both expected and maybe not expected, but still welcome. And this means that you have to come up with recipes just off the cuff sometimes. And to broaden your repertoire today, I'm going to be showing you 3 very different but simple to achieve recipes that are going to wow your guests. You'll be able to cook these in one pot as well. And I'm sure they're going to be talking about these for a long time to come. Let's go back into my past and try some cottage pie. And then skip the border for some Ghanaian yam pottage. Ending up with some finger-licking crowd pleaser chicken, which you'll be preparing on repeat after today. Well, you've seen our delicious menu, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the first recipe, which is cottage pie. Why have I chosen this? Well, you know, chefs and home cooks, we do cook from our experience, and we show our personality through the things that we make. And today is no exception. I used to have cottage pie when I was a student in boarding school in England, and it was a cafeteria favorite really, because you just saw this huge trough of it and you knew that you could just eat and come back for more and more and more. And that's what I want you to do when you taste this one. Cottage pie, a real meat and potato lover's treat. Easy to make, easy to eat. Every single one of the vegetables I've chosen today, I've chosen for a specific reason. Start with onions, a familiar base. Carrots for texture and sweetness. Uniform cut for uniform cooking. Natural seasoning means using potent herbs like celery. It would be easy to just use a food processor to chop all these natural ingredients together. But how then can we manipulate their taste, their texture, maximize their true value, and therefore have full control over the recipe's outcome? So here we have some olive oil and some vegetable oil, a blend. I'm not putting in too much because the meat we're using has some fat in it. Your choice of minced meat is important. Ask your butcher to include some fat in the grind. This, if rendered properly, will add more flavor and depth to the outcome. Let's get those onions in. So we're getting a build-up of flavors now. I didn't want the onions to burn, but I wanted them to start creating their sweetness. We don't want these to burn, but we do want them to remain intact with a little bit of integrity still, whilst imparting color and flavor. For our topping, we are using potatoes, and we're making a mash out of Irish potatoes. Easy to get here, nice and waxy, and when they're mashed, they come out nice and smooth. Now, a mashed potato can be a mashed potato, or it can be a mashed potato, and it's this type of mashed potato we're trying to achieve. So we want a nice and fluffy finish with some lovely olive oil, and also just a few little seasonings, making it creamy with some milk too. So this is going to be really easy to spread and really easy to consume. These potatoes, let's call them spuds. They've got to be peeled, and I like the knife, and then cut into chunks, which makes for faster cooking. and then they'll be ready to cook until soft with a little bit of salt. So I'm adding almost a kilo of ground beef with fat in it. And my aim and objective by asking for this fat within is to make sure that as the meat cooks, the fat renders out some of its flavor, and that will impart itself throughout the whole dish as well. So it's really about layering. So we'll break this up, but we'll let it go. And at this open time where the meat is still raw, we can start adding in some of the other flavors, which I like to do about now. Starting off with garlic and celery. The natural spices I'm using are slightly augmented from the very oniony taste I remember from school days, but it's a good move, I promise you. Tomato paste will add some zing, but be sure to cook out the sour edge for a minute or two. So as our meat is cooking away beautifully, it's time to talk about how we're going to create that lovely sauce. Now I'm going to be using a homemade stock. Now some people think, oh gosh, that must be so hard to do. It isn't. If you're steaming meat or chicken and just need to have something to use for another dish, just keep that beautiful stock water. All the juices from the meat would have leached out into it, including your ingredients that you added, like your spices, and that's what creates a lovely stock. Don't throw it away, keep it, and you can use it on occasions like this. So here's our meat about 10 minutes in, and you can already see there's a bit of a gravy forming here, but it won't do and won't be enough for what we need for this recipe, and this is why I'm incorporating our lovely chicken stock. Don't worry, it's chicken, this is meat. It doesn't really matter in my book. In that goes, gelatinous and lovely. And the idea is just to allow it to coat all the meat and create a beautiful gravy. I've added the carrots at the end, so they don't become a mush. This dish is still oven bound, and a small pack of frozen veg to bulk it out for the numbers even more. To finish our cooked spuds, we're crushing them. With a little salt, pepper, olive oil, and milk, and then mixing this to make it really creamy. Our meat mixture is the base, and the mash will sit on top of this. Isn't it funny how you always wind up sweating about whether you've got enough potato for full coverage? Happens to me every time. We're okay. It's into the oven now for 20 minutes. I love this. Reminds me of school days. Cottage pie, cheers. So unbelievably delicious, warming, Moorish, nostalgic. This is a winner. 10 points. This next colourful, rich yam dish takes us home with a yam pottage recipe. I'm borrowing this one from Ghana, a dear memory of time and space relating to a specific food connection. Among the ingredients, this smoked open fish with its flesh having been exposed for maximum exposure to the smoking process. Using salt, I'm scrubbing it with a dedicated silver shine. And I'm rinsing before steaming with a single pepper until it's pliable. The fish seems to be steamed now, and what we're looking for is just the ability to break it up nicely but not have it fully mushy. There you go. And that pepper in there is really going to add some flavor to the fish broth. I think we've seen by now that pepper bases come in many dimensions, and this one will have in it strictly natural spices, the best way for purely created flavors. It makes perfect sense because everything we're seasoning with has health benefits. And with this practice and the addition of fresh herbs, we don't have to become so reliant on processed flavors. Unlike our last recipe, all these will be fried our way in hot palm oil and join the lineup of other interesting spices. So palm oil, and I'm being generous, and I have a little bit of vegetable oil in there too. Palm oil heats up really fast, as you can see, and to this I'm going to add some onion. There we go. Just get that going in there. And with that onion, I'm going to be adding some iru. This is iru powder. Now in Ghana, we would have added momoni, which is a sort of a very pungent fermented fish. In the absence of that, we're adding 2.5 heaped tablespoons of iru, just to give us that umami that is really necessary in this dish. That is kicking up a storm, isn't it? And smells really, really nice. The next thing that's going in here fairly rapidly is our base. I think from my eye, I have enough there for this size of pot, and we're just going to let that start doing its thing. The smell coming from here, incredible. Some natural curry powder, some black pepper, and some vegetable seasoning. I've mixed all of these together and just putting in 2 tablespoons of that. And then we're going to also add some crayfish. I love this. It has its own saltiness as well, so be careful with salt. Get enough of that in there. And last but not least, this beautiful fish stock from the smoked fish with that lovely piece of pepper. Even with that skin on it there, we're going to put that all beautifully in. Lovely. The amount of yield from this dish obviously depends on how much you need, and even for this smaller pot, with the addition of all this beautiful sectioned smoked fish, we'll still be able to feed 4 people comfortably. The yam will cook evenly until it's soft through and through. I've mashed some of this yam with a fork amidst the chunks, and it's created this rich and thick sauce. To jazz it up, some garlic chips, which you can easily make in 2 quick steps for a golden brown crispy garnish. For this, I recommend a bowl and spoon with enough for your guests to come back for seconds, and believe me, they will want to. Wow, look at this bowl of deliciousness, if I do say so myself. And I'm definitely going in for the kill. Some of that lovely yam, beautiful sauce, and a bit of the fish. Yes, everyone, yes. That fish. Beautiful yam, the crispy garlic. We're winning on every single level here. You gotta try this. Delicious. For our last dish of the day, we're going to be making everyone's secret favorite, fried chicken. My secret weapon today is being able to master the texture inside and out. Okay, everybody, lovely chicken, the food journey way. Here we go. Some beautiful chicken. Now my hands are clean and I really need to grip this chicken and manhandle and do what I need to do. So we're looking for any little unnecessary pockets of fat first of all. This is pretty good. I don't really mind having these little bits because they will melt during the cooking process. Let's check our other bit. There we go. Anything lying underneath that you don't want, little things like that, just get rid of them. If you really don't like this, so easy to just slip your knife under and just cut away the bits that you don't want. Separate the drumsticks. Move your hand away and then with your cleaver right down the middle. So we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of chicken where there were 2. So here's our chicken, ready to be seasoned. And what do I have? I've got some vegetable seasoning, so I'm just going to do that. I've also got some cumin, black pepper, and red pepper, which I sometimes just keep as a mix. And I'm going to do that with it. And then with 2 spoons, just really working that around the chicken. We're trying to impart some flavor into that during the steaming process so that we can have a delicious taste from within and without the chicken as well. So there we go. And if you really feel that you need a tiny bit more in places, well then just go ahead and relayer. If you don't particularly feel like getting your hands in, as is in this case. Wonderful, beautiful, pre-seasoned for steaming. What will we be adding to this? Just simply a little bit of spring onion, and I'm just going to rip that around the chicken like so. 1 garlic clove, just a little slice of that, and add it. And 1 beautiful pepper, which I'm going to just open up and drop into the mix. All this for steaming. Chicken doesn't take very long to steam, but we want it to be cooked throughout. Undercooked chicken isn't the safest, so check it and make sure that when you remove the chicken, you save all that precious stock for later use in other recipes. So let's take a moment to talk about what we love about fried chicken. Well, I'll tell you what I love. I love the fact that you've got that juxtaposition of tender and juicy and flavorful inside and crispy outside. But how do we maximize the crispiness on the outside? Well, this is where the Food Journey twist comes in. I'm going to be making a beer batter or an ale batter. And we're going to start with that and we're going to finish up with some lovely breadcrumbs. So you're going to get crispy upon crispy. Divine. Beautiful chicken is ready and we've seen that wonderful stock. What have we got here? The beginnings of our beer batter. A little bit of black pepper and a little bit of salt in there as well, just to season up the flour and give it a bit of a mix with my whisk to incorporate everything. What we're adding as well is some cornstarch. I'm putting in 2 heaped tablespoons, mixing that around, and then we have the beer. The idea is to pour this in a little at a time because what we're trying to make is a batter that clings. So you can't take the liquid out. And you can see how it's kind of frothing up a little bit as I turn. And I'm watching it because I want to make sure that I have a consistency at the end that's like this, that can really stick to a spoon as well, like that. That should be perfect. So the idea is to dip into the batter like so, making sure all sides are coated, let it drip off a tiny bit, and then into the breadcrumbs. There we go. Literally rolling this around like so, making sure the end is done there. Beautiful. And in they go. This chicken is being shallow fried. And I'm wondering if just because it's Christmas time, we can undo one notch on our belt and indulge in some chicken which looks and tastes just amazing. Wow, a delicious piece of fried chicken. I am going in. Hot. So good. So delicious. Crunchy on the outside. Lovely and tender on the inside. All right, big mouthful finished now. And time for me to say goodbye to you. I hope that today you've been able to broaden your repertoire and have some really fantastic one-pot meals for all those people who love you so much that they want to come and visit. Happy Christmas! Stay safe, everyone, and see you next time. Bye. Food Journey has a new Instagram. It's FOODJERNY @Food Journey. So if you were following us before, please come and follow us here now.